The rustle in the garden. It was past midnight when the man heard the sound. His farm was quiet. The sky above was dark, stars hidden by thick clouds. Crickets had gone silent. The air felt heavy, like something was watching. Then the rustle came, again, from the garden. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped out of his small wooden house. Boots crunched on dry leaves as he walked toward the rows of vegetables. The wind was cold. His breath came out in soft white puffs. Another sound, this time soft footsteps. Careful, sneaky. He turned on the light. There! A shape crouched low near the tomatoes. Thin, shaking, not an animal. "Hey!" he shouted. The figure froze. Slowly, it stood up. The light showed her face, not human, big dark eyes, skin pale and almost glowing, cheekbones sharp, hair thin and messy. Her clothes were torn. She held a small cloth bag full of vegetables. Her hands trembled. She didn't run. She didn't speak at first either. The man raised his voice again. "What are you doing here?" "Finally," she answered. Her voice was soft, weak. "Please. I didn't want to steal. My children are hungry." The man blinked. He wasn't ready for that. "Children?" She nodded, hugging the bag close. Her eyes glistened with tears. "I only took what we need. I'll leave." Her legs wobbled as she turned to go. She was starving. Her arms were too thin, her feet were bare. The man sighed. He was angry, but not at her. Angry at the universe. At whatever forced a mother to steal to feed her children. "Wait," he said. She stopped. He pointed toward his house. "Come inside just for a meal. You look like you'll fall over." She hesitated, fear in her eyes. Maybe she thought it was a trap, but hunger won. She followed. Inside, the human made her sit. He gave her water first, then warm bread with butter. She ate fast, too fast, like she hadn't eaten in days. Crumbs stuck to her lips. Her hands shook. He watched silently. "Where are your children?" he asked. "In the forest," she whispered. "Hidden. I told them to stay. It's not safe." "Why not come to town?" "They don't like our kind," she said. "Last time they threw rocks." He understood. People feared aliens, even peaceful ones. "What's your name?" "Solari," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Joel," he replied. She looked at him. Her eyes were tired, old. Pain lived there, still she managed a tiny smile. "Thank you, Joel," he nodded. "You're not the first to come here needing help. I'll repay you," he raised an eyebrow. "How?" "I'll work, clean, anything. Just let my children eat." Joel looked at her hands, cracked, bleeding. She couldn't hold a tool right now, let alone work. You need rest. And food. A tear ran down her cheek. "You're kind," she said. "No human ever." "Don't thank me yet," he said quickly. "I'm just a farmer. I don't have much. But I have enough to share." She lowered her head. "Even that is more than I deserve." Joel stood up and grabbed a blanket. He handed it to her. "Sleep here tonight. Tomorrow I want to meet those kids of yours." Her eyes widened. "You mean it?" "Yes. And I'll bring food." She clutched the blanket. "They'll like you. My daughter loves humans. She wants to be a healer like them." Joel gave a small smile. "Then we better keep her alive long enough to grow up." That night, Solari slept on the couch, wrapped in the blanket, still holding the bag of vegetables, like she was afraid someone would take it from her. Joel sat at the window watching the stars. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but something inside told him. This was the start of something bigger. Much bigger. Her shaking hands morning came slow and cold. Joel stepped outside with 2 slices of bread in his hand, steam rising from the fresh tea in his mug. Inside the house, it was quiet. Too quiet. Solari was awake, sitting on the edge of the couch. She hadn't touched the blanket much during the night. Her eyes were open, staring at the floor like she hadn't slept at all. Joel noticed her hands again, still shaking. "Did you rest?" he asked gently. She nodded, but her eyes said otherwise. He placed the bread and tea in front of her. "Eat. You need energy. You said you have kids waiting." Her hands reached for the bread, but they moved slow. Weak. One finger had dried blood. She winced when the crust touched a cut. Joel grabbed a small box from the shelf and returned. He opened it and pulled out a small bottle of ointment. "Give me your hand." She froze. Her eyes widened. "I won't hurt you," he said softly. "Trust me." Carefully, she held out her hand. Joel worked gently. He cleaned the wounds, applied the ointment, and wrapped her fingers in a soft cloth. She didn't speak, but a single tear slid down her cheek. "No one's touched my hands like that in a long time," she whispered. Joel didn't answer. He didn't need to. After breakfast, they packed some food: bread, apples, and boiled eggs wrapped in a cloth. Joel slung a small bag over his shoulder. "Ready?" he asked. Solari looked down at her feet. "I have no shoes," she said quietly. Joel went back inside and brought her an old pair of worn sneakers. "They might be big, but they'll work," she smiled weakly. "You're strange, Joel," he chuckled. "I hear that a lot." The forest behind the farm was quiet, trees tall and dry, branches bare. The ground was cold and cracked under the changing season. They walked for 20 minutes in silence. Finally, Solari stopped near a fallen log. She bent down and tapped a stone 3 times. At first, nothing happened. Then a small voice whispered, "Mama?" A girl peeked out from under the log, dirty, scared, and skinny. Her skin was the same pale blue as Solari's. Her eyes sparkled when she saw her. "Rena!" Solari ran forward and hugged the girl tight. "Where's your brother?" The girl pointed behind her. A smaller boy crawled out slowly. He coughed. His lips were dry. He didn't speak. Joel stepped forward and handed the girl a slice of bread. She looked at him, confused. "He's a friend," Solari told her gently. "His name is Joel." The girl took the bread and handed it to her brother first. Joel's heart sank. She didn't eat. She gave it away. They sat in the clearing. Joel watched as both children ate like they hadn't seen food in days. The boy didn't say a word, just leaned into his sister's shoulder after eating. "What's his name?" Joel asked. "Kel," Solari answered. "He hasn't spoken in 2 days. He had fever." Joel reached out and placed his hand on the boy's forehead. "Still warm." "I have medicine at the house," he said. "He needs it." Solari looked away. "I don't want to be a burden." Joel stood up. "You're not a burden. You're a mother. You're doing everything you can. But now it's my turn." They walked back slower this time. Solari carried Kel, though her legs shook. Joel carried Rena on his back. Back at the house, he gave Kel fever medicine and wrapped him in a warm blanket. Rena got soup and toys from a box Joel hadn't opened in years. Later, as the children slept, Solari stood by the window. Her hands, now bandaged, still trembled. Joel noticed. "You're still shaking." "It's not the cold," she said. "Then what?" She turned to him. "I'm scared." "Of what?" "That someone will take this away. The food, the warmth. You." Joel looked at her seriously. "They won't," he said. "Not while I'm here." Outside, snow began to fall. But inside the small farmhouse, for the first time in many nights, no one went to sleep hungry. And one alien woman with shaking hands finally closed her eyes in peace. The footprints in the woods 3 nights passed. Kel's fever broke, and Rena started to smile again. Joel had made space in his shed, clean blankets, some warm food 3 times a day, and old comic books for the children. They didn't understand the words, but they laughed at the pictures. Joel noticed something. Solari never sat still. She cleaned, folded clothes, checked the children's breathing while they slept. She looked outside every few minutes as if watching for something or someone. One night, Joel heard movement outside again. But this time it wasn't from the garden. It was coming from the woods. He stepped out quietly, holding a lantern. The wind howled, the trees swayed, and then he saw it. Footprints. Not Solari's, not the children's. Bigger, heavy, fresh. He bent down and touched one. The snow hadn't even begun to melt in it. Joel followed the trail step by slow step. The footprints moved toward the outer edge of the forest, near the old riverbed. He kept going, boots crunching on snow. Then something strange. The footprints stopped. Right in the middle of the frozen path. As if the person had vanished into thin air. Joel turned off the lantern. He waited. Silence. Then, a crack above him. He turned just in time to see a shadow leap from a tree. Joel ducked. The figure landed hard, slipping on the ice. It let out a growl. Not human. Joel's breath caught. It was alien. But not like Solari. It was armored. Eyes glowing red. A tattoo on its jaw. This one was hunting. The creature looked at Joel, confused. Joel raised both hands. I'm just a farmer. The alien growled again in its native tongue, then turned and disappeared into the darkness. Joel didn't sleep that night. Morning came with thick fog. Solari saw his face and knew something was wrong. What happened? She asked. Someone's tracking you, Joel said. He was in the trees. She went pale. Did he have red eyes? Yes. She grabbed Rena close. That's a bounty hunter. He tracks escaped prisoners. Joel's eyes narrowed. You're a prisoner? She shook her head. No, but I was marked like one. My husband refused the war. They called us traitors. He was killed. I ran. Joel sat down, rubbing his face. Then we're all in danger. I should leave, she whispered. You leave, and they'll find you faster. You stay. I can help you hide. But, no buts. I made a promise to your kids, and I'm not breaking it. Solari blinked. Her lips trembled. No one had ever stood between her and danger before. Later that afternoon, Joel walked deeper into the woods. He followed the trail again past the river until he found something strange, a metal shard in the snow. He picked it up. It had a symbol on it, 2 rings crossed over a skull. Joel recognized, a hunter mark. Some alien gangs used it to claim targets. Joel returned home with a plan. That night, he moved the family into his cellar. It was dry, dark, and warm enough. He sealed the top with hay, making it look untouched. He gave Rena a flashlight and Kel a toy truck. Solari sat quietly in the corner, clutching a blanket. I don't know why you're doing this, she said softly. Joel leaned against the cellar wall. Because if I were in your place, I'd want someone to fight for me too. Solari looked up. You're not like the others. Joel smiled, tired but firm. No, I'm not. Outside, snow fell heavier, and far off in the trees, glowing red, eyes blinked once, then vanished into the dark. Shelter for strangers. The storm came without warning. Winds screamed like ghosts. Snow fell so hard Joel could barely see the fence just outside his door. Trees bent under the weight of ice. The world turned white and dangerous. Down in the cellar, Solari held both children close. Their little hands were cold even under blankets. The lantern flickered. Shadows danced on the stone walls. Joel came down with more firewood and food. This storm is worse than I thought, he said. We might be stuck for days. Kel coughed lightly, still weak. Rena whispered, Is the red-eyed man coming back? Joel crouched near her. Not tonight. This storm would freeze even him. Solari watched Joel as he gently wrapped Kel in another blanket. Her face was tired, but her eyes were sharp. You're protecting us, she said softly. But why? Joel looked up. Because no one else will. Hours passed. Wind howled above like a monster circling its prey. The small family sat close together. Rena fell asleep on Joel's shoulder. Solari dozed, but her hand never let go of her son. Joel didn't sleep. He sat near the ladder, listening for any strange sound, and then he heard it. A knock. Not on the house door, on the cellar trap door. Joel's body froze. He grabbed his flashlight and slowly climbed the ladder. He didn't open the door, just listened. Nothing. Then another knock. 3 soft taps. Joel's fingers tightened on the wooden handle of the fire poker. He took a deep breath and lifted the trapdoor slowly, and stared into a face he didn't expect. Not the red-eyed hunter, not a soldier, but another alien woman. Soaked, shivering, eyes wide with fear, she dropped to her knees. "Please," she gasped, "let us in. My children, we're freezing." Joel blinked. More of them? Behind her stood 2 small figures. One held a piece of cloth like a blanket. The other cried softly. Solari rushed to the ladder. She gasped when she saw the woman. "Mira?" The woman looked down. "Solari." Joel helped them down into the cellar. They were wet, half-frozen and scared. The new woman clung to Solari. "We ran for days, heard rumors about a human who helps." Joel raised an eyebrow. "Rumors?" "Word spreads," Mira said. "Whispers in the dark. That somewhere, kindness still lives." Joel sat down slowly. He never thought kindness could make him a legend. Solari wiped tears from her old friend's face. "How did you find us?" "Followed the smoke from your chimney," Mira said. "I knew that pattern. You always cooked soup like that." Joel laughed. Solari smiled. For a few hours, the cold world outside felt far away. Later, Joel gave his last extra blankets to the new children. Mira bowed low. "I'll work, clean, chop wood. Just don't send us away." Joel sighed. "No one's going anywhere, but we'll need a bigger plan. They'll come looking again." Solari's voice was quiet. "You don't have to carry this burden." Joel looked around, at the tired mothers. The children who once cried but now giggled softly, the smell of soup, the sound of soft breathing. "This is not a burden," he said. "This is a family." Outside, the snow buried the hunter's tracks, but not for long. Someone would come again. Joel knew that, so he began to build. Not walls, not weapons, but trust, warmth, hope, a shelter for strangers, and a home for the forgotten. The night they came. The storm passed, but danger didn't. The ground outside Joel's home was still covered in deep snow. Trees stood like frozen statues. And yet something felt wrong, too quiet. Even the birds had stopped singing. Joel stepped out that evening to chop wood. He paused mid-swing. There were no footprints, but the trees were watching. He felt it. Inside the cellar, Solari and Mira cooked soup on a small stove. The children played with sticks, pretending they were flying ships. For a short time, there was peace. Joel came back with a strange look on his face. "Keep the kids close tonight," he said. Solari's voice dropped. "Did you see him?" Joel nodded once. "I think he's close. Closer than ever." Mira looked up. "Then we run." Joel shook his head. "It's too late to run. The snow is too deep, and they'd catch you before dawn." He lit every lantern in the house. Then he took his old hunting rifle out of storage. Solari's eyes widened. "You're going to fight them?" "I'll buy you time," Joel said calmly. "You get everyone ready to move. If you hear one shot, you run." "No," she said firmly. "We won't leave you." Joel gave her a tired smile. "Then we survived together." That night, as the wind returned and the sky turned black, they came. Not one, not two, but 3. 3 hunters. Red eyes, steel armor, long blades on their arms that glowed blue. They didn't knock. They kicked the door open. Joel was ready. He stood in the middle of the room with his rifle pointed at the first one. "You're not welcome here," he said. The lead hunter growled. "Give us the traitors." Joel didn't move. "You'll have to go through me first." The hunter tilted his head. A human protecting aliens? Fool. Joel fired. The shot hit the hunter's shoulder, knocking him back. Sparks flew. The other. Two rushed forward. Joel dropped the rifle and grabbed a burning log from the fire. He swung wildly, smoke and flame filling the air. "Go!" he shouted. Below in the cellar, Solari heard the chaos above. She looked at Mira. "Take the children," she said. "Out through the old tunnel. What about you?" Solari didn't answer. She just climbed the ladder. Upstairs, Joel had been thrown against the wall. Blood ran from his forehead. One hunter moved toward him. But before the blade came down, thwack, Solari hit the hunter with a metal pot. The alien screamed. Joel gasped. "I told you to run. I told you. We survived together," she said. Outside, the storm began again. But this time, it carried a different kind of howl. The noise of a fight. Mira led the children through the tunnel Joel had dug months ago, just in case. It was dark, narrow, and cold, but it led deep into the forest. Suddenly, behind her, the ground rumbled. One of the hunters had found the tunnel entrance. He jumped in after them. Rena screamed. But then, a figure rose from the shadows. It was Joel, bleeding, hurt, but standing. He had followed them. He tackled the hunter to the ground, struggling, teeth gritted. "Run!" he yelled. Mira pulled the kids forward. They didn't stop running until the sounds behind them were gone. By morning, the storm cleared. 2 hunters were dead. 1 had escaped. Joel lay in the snow, eyes half open. Solari knelt beside him, crying. "You protected us," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "Told you I'm stubborn." Then he passed out. But he didn't die. Not that night. Because for the first time, someone stayed to protect him. Solari and Mira dragged him back. And this time, the fire was for him. This time the children sang to him. And this time the stranger was their family now. The hidden message Joel woke 3 days later. He didn't remember the pain, only the heat of the fire, the cold of the snow, and the look in Solari's eyes when she held him. Now he was wrapped in thick blankets, lying on the couch inside his home. Bandages covered his chest. Rena was asleep beside him, holding his hand like he might float away. He blinked slowly. Solari stepped into the room and gasped. "You're awake." Joel gave a tired smile. "Did we win?" She smiled back, eyes wet. "We're still breathing." Later, that evening, Mira returned from gathering wood. Her face was pale. "There's something outside," she said quietly, "near the barn, buried in the snow." Joel forced himself to stand. His body ached, but he followed. Behind the barn, beneath the half-melted snow, was something cold and metal. Solari bent down and pulled it out. A small, black device. It buzzed weakly, a red light blinking. "A tracker," she whispered. "They were never looking for us randomly. They knew where we were." Joel frowned. Someone planted it. Inside, Mira examined the device with shaking hands. "This is high-level tech. Someone in a ship above must have dropped it here. That's how the hunters found us so fast." Solari stared at the blinking light. "It's not just a tracker, it's a message transmitter too." She twisted the edge of the device. Symbols glowed across its side. Alien writing. Joel leaned forward. "Can you read it?" "Yes," she said. "But you won't like it." The message was short. Brutal. Target, Solari Vuitton status. High-value trader. Kill order. Valid children optional. Use as bait human contact. Terminate. If interferes, Joel felt a cold fury rise in his chest. "They called your kids bait?" Solari looked away. "To them, I'm nothing. Just a problem to erase." Joel stood and walked to the window. Snow had started again. He clenched his fists. "They think I'll back off," he said quietly. "They think kindness is weakness." Mira watched him. "What are you going to do?" Joel turned back. "I'm going to send them a message of my own." That night, Joel dismantled the tracker. With Mira's help, he turned it into a signal booster, something crude but strong. He climbed to the top of the water tower behind his house and pointed the dish at the sky. Solari handed him the transmitter. Joel pressed the button and spoke. To whoever's listening, this is Joel Carver, Earth citizen, farmer, friend. Static crackled. You sent killers to my home. You hunted women and children. You called us weak. He paused. I have a shovel and a rifle. You sent 3 hunters. I buried 2. Another. Pause. Come again, I dare you. He dropped the device. The red light went dark. Back inside, Solari stood quietly. You just made yourself a target. Joel gave a tired smile. Good. Let them come to me, not to the kids. She looked at him. You keep doing this, risking your life. Joel looked back at her. Because someone has to stand between monsters and the innocent. That night, Solari couldn't sleep. She sat beside Joel watching the fire. You're not like anyone I've met before, she said softly. Joel didn't answer. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Outside, snow kept falling. But inside, a fire had started that would never die. My family now. Weeks passed. The snow began to melt. The trees shook off their frost. Streams ran again. Birds returned. But for Joel's small farm, peace was still uncertain. Every night he checked the skies. Every day he trained. Not with fancy weapons, but with courage, with preparation, with resolve. Inside the house, Solari taught the children to read human words. Mira mended clothes. The laughter of little ones began to fill the empty rooms. Joel wasn't just protecting strangers anymore. He was protecting a home, his home. One morning, Rena ran inside holding something shiny. Look what I found, she said. Joel took it from her. It was a medallion. Silver. Heavy. Alien symbols carved into its surface. Solari's face turned pale. That's from the royal line, she whispered. My line. Joel raised a brow. Your royalty? She nodded slowly. My mother was a council elder. I was supposed to take her place. What happened? I refused their war. I said no to killing. They marked me as a traitor. Joel looked at the medallion, then at her. You're not a traitor, he said. You're brave. Solari looked down. I don't want power. I just want a quiet life. Somewhere my children can laugh and grow. Joel placed the medallion back in her hand. Then start here. That night, under the open sky, they sat around a fire. Mira played a soft tune on an old human harmonica. The children danced. Rena made Kel laugh again. Really laugh. A sound that hadn't come out of him since his father died. Joel stood silently watching them. Solari walked up beside him. Thank you, she said. For what? For giving us more than food. You gave us a future. Joel looked at her gently. I didn't give it, you built it. Solari turned to him. There's something else. What is it? She reached into her old bag and pulled out a small stone box. Inside, a single ring. It looked strange. Part crystal, part metal, glowing. Faintly. It's not a weapon, she said. It's a bond, a promise stone. Where I'm from, it means choosing someone to share your life with. Joel's breath caught. Are you asking? She laughed nervously. No, I'm offering. You don't have to say yes. But I want you to know. You're already a father to my kids. You've already done more than anyone ever has. Looked at the ring, then at the sleeping children, then at her, and he nodded once. I've never been a king. But maybe I can be something better. A husband, a father. Solari smiled with tears in her eyes. Rena whispered from behind. Does that mean we're really a family now? Joel turned around and picked her up. We always were. Later that night, a ship passed high above the earth. Someone aboard it saw no heat signals, no activity, just snow and trees. They left, and they never returned, because they didn't know. That In the small heart of a quiet forest, a man had built more than walls. He had built love. And love, real, stubborn, human love, was stronger than any war.